How's it going, everybody? Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We're here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sundays, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern. Got a lot to get into here today. The fallout of the WWE Elimination Chamber, the second to last show before this year's WrestleMania. We still got Fastlane coming up, so a lot of stuff still to do. Got all the results from the show here if you happen to miss it last night. The Elimination Chamber, the men's chamber, won by Daniel Bryan. The women's tag team Elimination Chamber match won by Bayley and Sasha. They are the new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. Nothing official yet, but it does appear that they will in fact be traveling champions. So they'll be defending the titles on Raw and SmackDown, maybe even on an NXT show, since all of the NXT women were tweeting about it last night. We'll see what happens there. We've got a new Intercontinental Champion. Finn Balor beat Bobby Lashley and Lio Rush. Lashley and Lio Rush broke up afterwards, and then Bobby Lashley realigned himself with Baron Corbin and Drew McIntyre. And yes, after being gravely concerned about Braun Strowman doing a job for Brock Lesnar, of all people, at the Royal Rumble, so concerned that he took him out of the match, Vince McMahon had Braun Strowman lose last night to Baron Corbin after the heels beat up Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman has no friends. There was no Finn Balor out there. In fact, if I remember the last time that everybody beat up Braun Strowman, like 10 babyfaces came out to help the guy out. Nobody came out here. He was all on his own. He was destroyed. Ronda Rousey beat Ruby Riott, minute 40. Just came out and destroyed her. And the Usos won the WWE Tag Team titles, beating The Miz and Shane McMahon. Those are the top matches from the show. Buddy Murphy retaining the title over Akira Tozawa. We talked about that yesterday on the show. What were your thoughts on the Elimination Chamber? You're welcome to call here today, 844-411-5411. Text messages, 425-780-7566. Back in a minute, Observer Live. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. A lot to get into here today. A lot of feedback so far on the show last night. Thought that overall, great main event. Great main event. Corbin Strowman sucked. Rousey Riott, I thought was very effective. That's what they needed to do. Finn Balor, Bobby Lashley, Lio Rush, baffling. It's the best way to describe that one. Usos versus The Miz and Shane McMahon was kind of bad. Shane McMahon should not be in the ring. And I don't know what else to say. Boston Hug Connection winning the Tag Team Elimination Chamber match. 33-minute match. I thought it kind of sucked for about 25 minutes. But the last 5-8 minutes or so I thought were very good. And that's the show, everybody. Mike, what'd you think?
Yeah, I kind of agree. It was a spectacle show, and there was nothing awful on it. But if you think about a lot of the stuff that took place on this show too much, or if you really think about it at all, none of it makes any sense. But if you chuck your brain and just enjoy Shane McMahon going out there and killing himself, and enjoy, what can happen inside the chamber, Nia smashing through something, and some of the spots we got in Kofi's story told in the main event and stuff like that. I mean, there was some good stuff on there, but there was some other baffling stuff. Bobby Lashley was the happiest-go-lucky guy on Raw. Elias would bring out people and call them his sisters, and he'd just shrug it off, and that's old Jolly G, it's Bobby. And then Lio Rush showed up. Bobby turned into the most evil person on the planet, and now he's so evil, he beat up the guy that turned him dirty. Why? Yes. Because, I don't know, Lio Rush didn't have to be kicked out of that group, even though you have a group that Baron Corbin is involved with, and Baron Corbin is the reason that the ratings are so bad, and it's going to be part of the changes that the McMahons make on Raw, and, again, you can't think about it. Because if you do, none of it makes any sense.
I want to read a few texts right here and then say something, before which I will, of course, give my usual... Anyway, person says, what are your thoughts on seeing Kofi versus Bryan for Mania, Ed Mania for the title? This person says, it might be just me, but Kofi feels more over at the moment than Seth Rollins. He should face Daniel Bryan at Mania. And this person here says, don't know why people are so upset about Kofi Kingston losing. It was obvious he was not going to win. Great match, though. Let me preface this by saying this, everybody. I thought the Gauntlet match was great. I thought Kofi was great in that match. I loved it. I thought the Elimination Chamber match was great. I thought Kofi Kingston was great in that match. I loved it. I'm a big fan of Kofi Kingston. I'm a big fan of all three guys in the New Day. Am I sick of the New Day? Yeah. Doesn't mean that I don't like all three guys in the New Day, but I've seen the New Day act going on 4 years now. And every week they come out and they throw pancakes out there. They've got cereal and they're a comedy team. I've said it like 10 times, but Big E himself said it. Been goofing around for 4+ years, he said. That's what he said on Twitter, so don't yell at me. So, with all that said, I believe that Kofi Kingston and Daniel Bryan should probably be the main event of Fastlane. I think that Kofi Kingston is a great, plucky, underdog babyface. Do I think that Kofi Kingston should beat Daniel Bryan and win the title? Do I think that he should have beaten Daniel Bryan and won the title last night? No. I know some people are going to get very, very upset about that. But not everybody that everybody likes needs to just be given the world championship. Kofi Kingston, 2 weeks ago, was out there doing commentary with pancakes and goofing around and doing comedy and all of the other stuff they've been doing for years, okay? If they decide, you know what? Damn, this Kofi Kingston is good. He is great. So you know what? This is going to be the beginning of a journey for Kofi Kingston. And he's going to maybe win the Intercontinental title. And he's going to go on a win streak. I know, don't laugh. I'm just trying here. And maybe around SummerSlam, you pull the trigger on the guy, you maybe make him the world champion. Okay? Sure, you can do that. And I know the other argument that people have, which is, well, they made Jinder the champion. Well, Jack Swagger was once the champion. Okay? These are not good arguments to just put the championship on anybody, okay? Those things that they did were not good for the championship. They were not positives. Just because you did something really dumb doesn't mean that you just got to put the championship on anybody. There are some people in this business, and this has been the case historically, who are great challengers. They're great world title challengers. And them challenging for the title, you're always going to get a good match. You're always going to get the people into the match. The people are always going to go crazy for the match. But at the end of the day, they're great challengers, and they don't necessarily need to be the world champion of a brand. And I'm not saying that this is Kofi's lot in life. But right now, coming off a 4-year comedy run in a goofy tag team, now is not the time to make Kofi the champion. It's okay that he went to the end of that gauntlet match and lost at the end. It's okay that he was the highlight of the pay-per-view last night and almost went to the end but didn't win. None of this hurt Kofi Kingston. Kofi is in a much better place now than he was a week ago, and he doesn't have to be the champion right now. That's it.
That's it. No, I don't know if Kofi Kingston, like you were saying, you can build him on this journey. I'd like to see the entire New Day go on the journey. After the match last night, and this could just be lip service, but they did bring up the fact that, hey, we go out there and throw pancakes around all the time. And we've been goofs, but, we're also really good. And Kofi is a legend. And like all of those guys, it doesn't take much. It wouldn't take much to turn them into a serious act again. They can still have fun. You can still be cheered by the fans, yet be taken seriously. Big E, I just look at him, and I know he's short or whatever it is, but it's like he's the guy that I think that they could attach something to. Kofi, in some ways, has been there too long, and I think he is, to have a lot in life like that isn't too bad. Kurt Hennig was never the world champion. Arn Anderson was never the world champion. Greg Valentine.
There's a million guys that weren't the world champion.
All talented men that, their life and their career in wrestling is not going to be judged by a belt that was written and handed to them. Period. So I don't think Kofi's going to miss anything if he comes up short once again in a title shot down the line. But to build those guys up where maybe Xavier's the next guy, and he's trying, and they're trying to get back on track again. And then maybe it's Big E, and as Big E's doing that, Kofi and Xavier go after the tag titles. So by the time you get to a SummerSlam, you can build up a story with these guys, and they'll all be legitimate again. And to me, again, if Big E seems like he would be the one that I would actually kind of bank around and be the guy to win the world title. But whatever, whoever it is, however you do it, at least they'll be taken seriously again.
Hey, listen, everybody. Kofi Kingston could go in there at Fastlane and be on the verge of winning, and Big E screws him. And the New Day breaks up, and Big E goes off as a heel.
Ooh, I don't like that.
Big E can win the championship, and Kofi can chase Big E and eventually beat Big E for the title. It is a very easy storyline. Like, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not even saying that I think it should happen. I'm just saying that you've got the New Day that's very, very stale. And yeah, they could all just go their separate ways, but it is WWE. And looking at the way that they book, I can totally see them doing that story. I don't know if they're going to do that story, but I could see that happening. Big E is a heel, Kofi chasing Big E after Big E wins the title. Or Big E doesn't have to win the title. I mean, I don't even put the title on Big E. But a guy like Kofi is best served with a long chase before winning the title, not coming straight out of a tag team and winning the belt out of nowhere. Who does Kofi face if he wins the title? Just rematches with Daniel Bryan?
Well, Samoa Joe. I mean, there's things you could do. Plus, we're going to have a whole upheaval anyway, throughout the summer, including the shakeup. So we'll have to see what happens, and who knows, that could play a part in breaking them up too if you wanted to. I assume they're still making a lot of money selling things, so that's why I wouldn't break them up. If that has slowed up to a point where you could do it, then sure, why not?
Back in a moment with more Wrestling Observer Live. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's going on?
Hey, it's Paul in Barbersville.
Yes.
I caught a little bit of a bug out for the weekend. I've been cooped up at home, and I found some interesting things that you guys may want to check out to stream. Over on Netflix, they just debuted a reality cooking show called Nailed It Mexico. And they have an episode in which Psycho Clown is a celebrity guest judge. And he judges cakes in his full ring gear.
I'm tempted to show this to Paisley because she's big into baking lately, but I think Psycho Clown might be a deal breaker.
Yeah, you may want to show him the Nailed It Christmas episode or maybe the original, Now, Nailed It Mexico, of course, is the one in Spanish with subtitles, so you may want to wait until she can read.
Sure, yeah.
Meanwhile, on the streaming service High Dive, which is only like $5 a month, they now have dubbed in English Kaiju Mono, which is the movie where Kota Ibushi and Minoru Suzuki wrestle giant monsters.
Really?
Oh God, I thought you were going to say they get mono.
Okay, you need to email me this one. I may have to put this in the potpourri.
Yeah.
So are they giants as well, or are they normal-sized people fighting giant monsters?
Yeah. Well, like Kota Ibushi is like the janitor at this science thing, and they invent a drug that lets him grow to giant size, so he can wrestle the monsters. And he gets in a little trouble, and Minoru Suzuki becomes his tag team partner.
That sounds incredible.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, you got to send me this stuff.
Will, okay.
All right.
All right, I'll do that.
Thanks so much, Paul. Hey, get better, buddy. I don't like to hear about people being sick. That sucks. This person here says, can you imagine what Mustafa Ali is feeling like today? I know he got hurt and things happened, but if this was Ali's spot, he must be banging his head against the wall. Would Ali have gotten the same reaction Kofi got last night? Who knows? Doubtful, but who knows? And yes, this guy got Becky lynched. This guy got Becky lynched at Survivor Series. That's what happened to poor Mustafa Ali. He got hurt at a house show Sunday night, got taken out of that gauntlet match that may well have been his spot that Kofi got going till the end, got taken out of the chamber. I mean, Sucks to be this guy.
It does. We'll see how it goes, but I don't think Dude is going anywhere. I think if you're another guy on that side of the ledger, like a Jeff Hardy or somebody like that, I would just continue to worry about being pushed down a little bit because that guy has been slotted up. I don't. This story with Kofi is nice. We'll see where they go with it though after this. With Ali, you still have conflict with Joe. You still have conflict with Bryan. You still have conflict with Orton. So he's going to be in the mix no matter what. I would think at least.
Person says, Brian, what are the chances we get Sasha and Bayley versus the Sky Pirates at Mania? I know it's not the match you'd expect for WrestleMania. It's probably the best possible women's tag team match you can book in WWE right now. What do you think? I don't think we're going to get it. I actually think that Ryan and Cumberland is right. And it is going to be Bayley and Sasha versus Trish and Lita for the women's tag team titles.
I don't hate that. It's WrestleMania.
So I think it's going to be, dude.
I'm okay with that. Look, I'm okay with that. I can understand why it should be whatever. Ruby Riott and Liv or whoever you want to say should be in that match. I get that, but it's WrestleMania and it's Trish and Lita. And again, for all of the look, it's a business, and for all of the BS and the gaga that goes around it, that's something that they can market and bank on for a long time. On top of the fact that who doesn't like Trish and Lita? So, I understand that they are taking somebody else's spot. I get that. But I'm fine with that spectacle.
This person here says, the Usos are 2 for 2 for titles after getting arrested. Funny how that works. Huh. They did, in fact, win the tag team titles after Naomi and Jimmy were arrested. Well, I guess Jimmy was arrested. Naomi was driving. Jimmy got out of the car. Cops told him not to. They arrested the guy. But yeah, their contracts are up soon, everybody. And they're a tag team. And the Young Bucks are looking for tag teams. And so they got the titles. It's incredible. But it's 2019.
They grew up through 1983 and 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, all of these great years for tag teams. I never thought tag teams would come back like this, but I'll take it for right now with a Crockett Cup, with a promotion that wants to half build its entire self around tag teams, with WWE being forced to reinvigorate their tag team scene. I am completely fine with this. Tag teams have been, as a wrestler yourself, I mean, the whole point of tag teams was fitting two guys together, like perfect pieces. One thing a guy might be lacking, another guy has, and to make it a perfect combination, or somebody on the come up that needs a veteran by their side, like they did with Hardcore Holly and Dustin Rhodes. Or not Dustin Rhodes, but Cody Rhodes. I think it was one of the more recent examples of that. I mean, there's always a story to be told that way, and there's always good that can be done, especially when you have 9 trillion people on the roster. Why this is such a headache for them, I don't know, but hopefully that's gone away.
This person here says, in a video after Elimination Chamber, Jimmy Uso took a shot at the reports of him wanting to fight a cop, saying if anybody wants to come at them for the title, they better square up. That was, I guess, what was used in the police report, that he squared up with a cop.
The Usos would rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6.
844-411-5411 is the phone number. 844-411-5411. Text messages 425-780-7566. WWE, this from WrestlingObserver.com, finally made their first official announcement for this year's Hall of Fame class. After an advertisement about the news went around overnight, WWE announced via ESPN today, DX will be inducted into their Hall of Fame over WrestleMania 35 weekend. That being Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Chyna, Road Dogg, X-Pac, and Billy Gunn. Here's the question.
AEW agent?
Here's the question. Which is more shocking, that they're putting Chyna in the Hall of Fame after refusing to for years, or that AEW agent Billy Gunn is going into the Hall of Fame? And by the way, for all of you thinking that, hey, since The Undertaker is appearing at StarCast, no chance he'll go to the Hall of Fame. Think again, my friends. Triple H said, I think it's most meaningful for all of us to go in together. I think both groups were just as impactful. I mean, if everybody's going in, we've got to talk about, why isn't Rick Rude in there?
Jason Sensation?
He was part of the original DX. There were a lot of DX members people forget about. Mike Tyson? Why is he not in there?
Tori?
This is Michael's second induction, the first for Triple H, Chyna, Road Dogg, Billy Gunn, and X-Pac. Yeah, Triple H is not in the WWE Hall of Fame. Triple H spoke to ESPN about her joining the Hall of Fame. it'd be tough to pick a female that was more impactful on the business. She did something that was completely so out of left field, it wasn't even being considered when we first brought it up for her to come in. It wasn't even a consideration. It was not an easy thing. Against all odds, she did all of that. She earned everybody's trust. She won over the fans. She won over the boys. She did all of it. From that standpoint, absolutely 100% she deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, and should probably be in more than once as a group, but individually as well. There's more complexity to that than meets the eye, but here we are. I'm just happy that it's here. I'm happy for her family, people that she was close to. Hopefully this is super meaningful to them. I know it would be to her. It is a great thing, very deserving. I mean, if they're worried about China and porn, then X-Pac shouldn't be in there either, because he was in that porn video with China.
Yeah.
So they're all going in. There you go.
Silly. Just, it really is. And it's to be cynical, it's a really sideways way to get her in. I think that's, how you can ease into, I guess, doing it. But whatever. I guess that's the most surprising part. Billy Gunn, I guess, to a certain degree, even though he is still, I would assume, friendly with all those guys. And I'm sure anything that they can do to try to work him and massage him into any information about AEW or trying to work him over to their side. I don't think that would be out of the question, would it?
I don't know. Person, someone suggests on Reddit, the reason they kept saying Braun doesn't have friends is because he doesn't have friends. He has a family.
Oh, for God's sake.
Wyatt and Harper will be back to fight 3 versus 3.
Oh.
You could do that, actually. We'll find out. You could do that.
And the vintner stays organic?
Let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's up?
Hey, Brian. Hey, Mike. It's John from Arkansas. I don't want to be that guy, but I will be. As far as the
You're
Kofi
always that
thing,
guy.
yes.
What are you talking about?
Well, yeah, I know. Can't help it. Some of us just naturally have heat anytime we open our mouth. It's just one of those things. But as far as the Kofi thing, I thought it was a marvelous story that they told and everything, but you were completely right as far as that goes. You can't take him from 0 to 60 after, years of doing the goofy comedy thing. You got to get him serious and rebuild back that credibility, if you want people to really get behind it and not take it as a goof the entire time. Although last night, I think he showed probably the best performance I think I've ever seen him have in the entire time that I've watched the guy. I mean, amazing. Just freaking amazing. That's all I can say.
Well, I want to thank you very much for the call. I'd have to go back and watch the Orton deal because he was super over during that feud as well a decade ago. And yeah, listen, I'm old school. Got to build people up. Somebody was mad at me last night because they were like, oh, you're mad. You're mad that the Iconics are geeks, but you're also mad they're beating people up. Yeah, I'm mad that geeks are beating everybody up.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to go all out with the Iconics, start having them beat some low-level teams and work their way up. You can't have them be the biggest geeks in the chamber and then get into the chamber and beat up all of the other teams with credibility. I think it's lame. Back in a moment. Observer Live. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's going on?
Hi, Brian. Hi, Mike. How are you?
What's up?
I've heard you and Dave talk about this before in 2002, I think it was, when Hulk Hogan won the title from Triple H. And you made the point that the fans didn't want to see Hulk Hogan as champion. They wanted to see him win the title, but not as, hold the title. Yes. I think he lost it a month later to Undertaker or something like that.
Yes.
Do you think a similar situation could happen with Kofi Kingston at Mania or something like that, or...
Well, I mean,
what are your thoughts?
We talked about this a little bit earlier. I mean, I think that right now Kofi's better off as a challenger than a champion. But you got to remember that it's a different business and it's a different fan base today. And yes, in 2002, they changed titles with a lot more frequency, mostly on WCW, but even in WWE, I mean, there were a lot of title changes starting in 1998. But still at that time, the WWE title, was still seen as a really, really big deal. And it's different from nowadays. In the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, going back before that in the 2010 or the 1910s, 20s, 30s, all the way up until just recently, really. The championship was like something only a very, very select few got. You could be the best worker. You could be the best personality. It doesn't matter. You weren't necessarily going to become the world champion. And now, the fan base today, for better or for worse, if you have been doing this for any length of time, at some point they believe you deserve to be the champion. And, if it could very well be that the fans today would be very happy with Kofi as a champion, not care about anything except that he got what he deserved, and they don't care about who his challengers are or whether it means anything for business. It's just that's his reward. And if that's what fans today want, then whatever, give him the championship. But if you want to use the championship for what it's designed to be used for, which is something that is used to draw money, then maybe now is not the time for Kofi. I don't know what people want nowadays. It's very different now than what it used to be.
And my wrestling was always based in sport. That's why, like, when it comes to, intergender matches, I'm not against them. I don't need to have them. Or you got to have men's and everything's got to be mixed on New Japan cards. Like, why? The Japanese companies, I'm just so used to it being separate, and that's okay. Because in sports, there's separate leagues for things. And in sports, you can work your way to things. It's one of the ways that Becky Lynch got so popular was the fact that she beat everybody clean with her move. Like you would do building somebody up to make them a great baby face, the same way they did with Bob Backlund before he became champion, and everybody else up and down the line, from way back in the day up until relatively modern times. I mean, you built people up by having them get wins with their moves, and they're competing for something. They're going after this brass ring, but I think that there are a lot of people that they look at wrestling completely differently, and it is a prop to them, and it is something where it's like, everybody gets a turn at it, and yay, you deserve it, and all that sort of stuff. And just that there is a large clash and a large change, I think, in the last God knows how many years of how people got into wrestling. There's so many diverse ways that people have gotten into it now, and there's so many different people watching for so many different reasons that, I mean, it's hard to serve all the masters, and just to me, the classics still work. I mean, it's one of the reasons you read the Fables. Some of the simplest stuff that they could be doing, they don't do, and everything gets jumbled around because they're trying to serve a bunch of things, and they're not serving any of them well.
As far as it says, Daniel Bryan, as great as he is not really setting the company on fire and generating ratings. I think a surprise Kofi title run would be a worthy experiment, especially right now when finding what gets ratings is key. Listen to me, everybody. I don't want to hear that I hate Kofi. I'm going to get really mad. I'll start muting and blocking people. Kofi will not make any difference. Daniel Bryan is not making any difference. Becky Lynch is not making any difference. Let me tell you something about ratings, okay? Nothing that they do is going to turn the ratings around overnight. Nothing. There is not one thing that they can do. If Becky gets hot, okay, or Daniel Bryan or Kofi Kingston or whoever, if they start to get hot, I'm going to tell you exactly what's going to happen, because it's been like this forever, okay? If Becky starts getting hot, SmackDown attendance is going to rise. That's what's going to happen first. Now, I was at SmackDown in Everett like 3 weeks ago, and it was an embarrassingly small crowd, okay? If she starts to get over and people get into the storyline and she's on her way to maybe being the next big star for the company, the first thing that's going to happen is not ratings. The first thing that's going to happen is these SmackDown numbers are going to start to turn around because she's on the SmackDown show. This has not happened yet, okay? Now, if SmackDown numbers start to turn around, the attendance, okay, then very slowly the ratings will begin to rise. And it could take 4 months, 6 months, a year before Becky Lynch getting over huge starts to turn these numbers around. There has been no time in history where, for example, Steve Austin beats Shawn Michaels wins the title at WrestleMania 1998. It's not like they went from a 2 to a 3 the next day. They slowly, starting in mid-1997, when Steve Austin started getting hot, they slowly began to work their way up. And not only was it a slow ascent for WWE or WWF at the time, it was a slow descent for WCW. WCW made every mistake in the book. They did every stupid thing they could do. They beat Goldberg. They did the finger touch of doom. All of this stuff. None of that resulted in them going from a 4-5 rating to a 2-5 rating overnight. Nothing. WWE slowly rose WWE slowly rose, WCW slowly descended. Do you want to know how you can get WWE ratings up next week? It's not putting the title on Kofi. It's not giving Becky Lynch the title next week on SmackDown. What you have to do is you have to advertise The Rock is going to be here next week on the show. Raw 2000 is going to happen next week, and all of these big stars are going to come back. All of these things may, for 1 week, give you a boost, and then it's going to go right back down again. But there's nothing that you can book on Raw tonight, or on SmackDown on Tuesday, or on the Fastlane pay-per-view, or at WrestleMania that's going to all of a sudden turn these numbers around. It doesn't happen. Period. So, yeah, I guess you could argue, what the hell? Put the title on Kofi. Bring this guy, whatever. You can do bring a bunch of guys up from NXT, okay? You can do whatever you want, because it's going to be a slow incline. And in the last year, it's been a slow decline. We're down 15, 17% from where we were last year. But guess what? You didn't lose 15 to 17% overnight, and you're not going to gain it overnight. Even football. Like, that's another thing that you can do to bring numbers up or down immediately. The day that football season starts and Monday Night Football is opposing Raw, yeah, you're going to have a big drop. Not even a big drop. Like, you're going to have a drop. And then the day that football season ends and there's no longer Monday night competition, you're going to see a little bit of a rise. Same thing's going to happen with the NBA playoffs. But, like, the idea that anything that they're going to do with Becky, Ronda, anybody that's on the main roster right now, nothing's going to change this. That's it.
Just remember how you got there in the first place. You know, all those dumb things that you did because you didn't think it mattered. All that 50-50 booking, all of those mistakes that you made to create that slow decline. You can't not push Becky Lynch. You can't not try to make the New Day special again in ring. You can't not have to try to make better moves to improve yourself, because those slow building blocks will build you back up again. It's not like anything's impossible in WWE. You know, who knows where their bottom is? I think they're pretty much near it right now. So, you know, if you go and you build these things back up again, sure, nothing's going to change it overnight. Sure, Becky Lynch isn't going to change ratings overnight, but you didn't fall to where you got to overnight. It took a long time to get there, and it's probably going to take a long time for you to crawl back up, no matter what you try to hotshot, because the more you try to hotshot, the less it ends up working in the long run. So we'll see what happens now that there's competition around, that there's sharks kind of sort of in the water. You know, one of the things that everybody always lamented about Vince was once he didn't have any competition anymore, you know, look what happened. You know, he stopped being as sharp and this, that, and the other. So we'll see now with New Japan, with AEW, with ROH, with all of these other places willing to spend money and willing to be a thorn in his side. And in that company's side, let's see what they do.
Again, this is nothing against Kofi right here. Absolutely nothing against Kofi. But this person says, it's not about everyone getting a turn with the title. It is the fact that the business and WWE has forgotten how good Kofi is and has always been. He said himself the number of title chances he's got, he could count on one hand. It's long overdue because Kofi has always been good and he's always been ready, but the business treated him like an afterthought. That right there is an argument for he deserves it.
But
hold on, wait. I can go over the SmackDown roster, okay? Raw or SmackDown, but I mean just SmackDown. You want to go over the list of SmackDown guys that, let me read exactly what this guy wrote, that people have forgotten how good they are, how they have gotten X number of title shots they can count on one hand, how it's been long overdue, how they've always been good and they've always been ready, but WWE treated them as an afterthought. That's like 90% of the SmackDown roster.
Hallelujah. That's it right there. That's it. That's the Raw roster. That's a lot of that. That's NXT because they got so many damn people around. Do you think everybody gets shown in the way that they could be shown, for heaven's sakes? It's almost all those guys. So I get that. But like to try to do the make good of, to me, again, without a great story, without something you're going to be building on, by just doing it, to me, right now, it's just a hot shot. And it's cool. Yay, Kofi won. Great. Feel good story. Wonderful. I don't know if now's the time. Now, this, again, they said it by themselves last night. This is just another step on the journey, and that could have just been an empty promo. But you know what? If we start to get a turn of the corner on the New Day, won't it mean a lot more if this thing builds up to be at SummerSlam as opposed to just in this whim of the moment? Boy, this feels good right now. No. And I love Kofi, and I think all those guys have been used like trash as far as in the ring goes, and they have not taken good advantage of them and played to them the way that they should have in some ways, and they've used them as just cartoons. I think building back up in a more serious manner will actually help them, and would help Kofi if he did get the title.
Here's another thing. This person says, I'm a cynical fan, but I was bouncing off my couch with every near fall during the Kofi-Daniel match. I loved it, and it felt good to have that excitement again. It was awesome, and you know what? You know why something like that works? It only works if the championship is something special that not everybody gets. If everybody gets a run with the championship, you'll never have moments like this. You have to protect the title. You have to make the title special. You have to make the title a prize that not everybody gets in order to make you jump off the couch with excitement when you think somebody might actually get it. That's the whole psychology of professional wrestling. You ruin it when you give the title to everybody because it's something that they deserve to get at some point during their career. Back in a moment, Observer Live. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. I want to read this for sure. And all the praise for Kofi, which is very well deserved. People should not lose sight of how truly great Daniel Bryan is. And he couldn't even wrestle a year ago. Truly incredible. Yeah, he's awesome. Let's not overlook the performance of both guys last night. Everyone's talking about Kofi, but the whole point of professional wrestling is to have a match where you make your opponent look incredible. Look like a guy that should be the champion. That's what Daniel Bryan did last night, because he's awesome.
You know who did that for you? Larry Sweeney, whose birthday it would be today. So happy birthday, 12 Large.
That's right, happy birthday. I got the Texarkana television title sitting right in front of me. Defending it April 5th, Black Label Pro. I'm looking for some memorabilia I can wear out there. A feathered boa to come out there for that match. Yeah, wear a feathered boa to the ring. It's going to be awesome. Hey, we're out of time, everybody. Raw is tonight, and so we'll be back tomorrow to talk about that. What's so funny?
Nothing.
Raw's tonight, dude. We're out of time. What do you want me to do?
Nothing.
Let's extend the show, everybody. Hey, Raw's tonight. The show ends when it's supposed to end. There's no overrun here.
No.
We'll talk about it tomorrow. I'll be back later on tonight with Dave. Got a lot to talk about there, including a big story he wants to talk about tonight where, for the first time ever, it has been scientifically proven that there is such a thing as muscle memory, which means that if you are using PEDs to gain an advantage, even when you come off the PEDs, that advantage remains with you for the rest of your life. We'll talk about that tonight, so much more. Thanks to Mike, as always, callers and listeners. Talk to you next time, Wrestling Observer Live.